On September 14, 1986, First Lady Nancy Reagan appeared on national television to address the nation from the West Sitting Hall of the White House. She sat on a sofa next to her husband, President Ronald Reagan, and gazed into the camera. "Today, there's a drug and alcohol abuse epidemic in this country, and no one is safe from it," she said. "Not you, not me, and certainly not our children." This broadcast was the culmination of all the traveling the First Lady had done over the preceding 5 years to raise awareness among American youth about the dangers of drug use. She had become the public face of the preventative side of President Reagan's war on drugs, and her message hinged on a catchphrase that millions of people still remember, which she employed once again that evening on television. Not long ago, in Oakland, California, Nancy Reagan told viewers, "I was asked by a group of children what to do if they were offered drugs, and I answered, just say no." Although there are different accounts of where this infamous slogan originated, with an academic study, an advertising agency, or the First Lady herself, its stickiness, to use the parlance of marketing, was undeniable. The phrase appeared on billboards, in pop songs, and on television shows. School clubs took it as a name. And in the popular imagination, it became inseparable from what government and law enforcement officials saw as the crown jewel of the Reagan-era drug prevention campaign: Drug Abuse Resistance Education, or DARE. In 1983, Los Angeles Chief of Police Daryl Gates announced a shift in his department's approach to the war on drugs. Instead of busting kids in possession of illegal substances, the new focus would be on preventing those drugs from getting into their hands in the first place. This was how DARE, with its iconic logo of red letters set against a black background, was born. DARE was an educational program built on a theory from psychology called social inoculation, which took from epidemiology the concept of vaccination, administering a small dose of an infectious agent to induce immunity, and applied it to human behavior. The approach of the program was to bring uniformed officers into schools, where they would use role-playing and other educational techniques to inoculate kids against the temptations of drugs. It certainly sounded like a great idea, and the early research on DARE was encouraging. As a result, the government opened its taxpayer-funded faucet, and soon the program was scaled up in middle schools and high schools across the country. Over the next 24 years, 43 million children from over 40 countries would graduate from DARE. There was only one problem. DARE didn't actually work. In the decades since Nancy Reagan urged the nation's youth to just say no to drugs, numerous studies have demonstrated that DARE did not in fact persuade kids to just say no. It provided children with a great deal of information about drugs such as marijuana and alcohol, but it failed to produce statistically significant reductions in drug use when these same kids were presented with opportunities to use them. One study even found that the program spurred participants' curiosity about drugs and increased the likelihood of experimentation. It is hard to overstate the cost of DARE's voltage drop at scale. For years, the program consumed the time and effort of thousands of teachers and law enforcement officers who were deeply invested in the well-being of our greatest natural resource, future generations. Yet all of this hard work and time, never mind taxpayer dollars, was wasted on scaling DARE because of a fundamentally erroneous premise. Worse, it diverted support and resources away from other initiatives that might have yielded real results. Why DARE became the disaster that it did is a textbook example of the first pitfall everyone hoping to scale an idea or enterprise must avoid: a false positive.